All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to living Elohim. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We pick it up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they will testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you of Abba. There's one that accuses you, even to whom you trust. Had to believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Well, praise be to Yahudah. Let's get on around here to Psalm 78, verse 67. Psalm 78 and 67. Moreover, he refused the tabernacle of Joseph, chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Yahudah, like the earth which he established forever. He chose David also his servant and took him from the sheepfold. From following the youth great but young, he brought him to feed Jacob his people, Yasharal his inheritance. So he fed them according to the integrity of it. Okay. We still got some Numbers 22 and 23 to harken back to. Judges 8:15. And he said unto the men of Succoth, and said, Behold, Zebah and Zalmunna. Remember, those are men who both men name means deprived of protection, with whom you did upbraid me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in your hand, that we should give bread unto your men that are weary? He took the elders of the city, and thorns of the wilderness and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. So, of course, you know, Succoth is booths. He taught these men by these particular matters. So this came in my mind, give me a moment. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 5 that I desire. Let me see if we got the complete verbiage that's in my brain. Yes, indeed. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. He said, For we know that if our earthly house of is eternal in Shamahim, for in this we groan, earnestly desire to be clothed upon with our house which is from Shamahim. If so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. For we that are in tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon that mortality that might be swallowed up of life. Now he that wrought for us the self-same thing as Elohim, who also have given us the earnest of the Ruach. Therefore we are always confident, knowing that while we are at home in the body, we're absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith and not by sight. We're going to get to that key component that goes back to what we were discussing last week in Job 14, especially putting on the immortality from the mortality. But now you're looking at an instance that while you are at home in the body, you are absent from the Lord. And now this gives me an opportunity to do something that I want to do for a couple of weeks. So then he's also letting you know that we are confident and willing. See, that is the difference for many. Many are not confident and willing to be absent or to be dead and be present with the Lord. A lot of people are not willing to be able to make that movement, to even have that even thought process. Some people think that's suicidal or whatever the case may be. And that's just not the case. That's an individual who has a desire to be with Yahudah. But I want you to come over here to Genesis chapter 5. I just seen an individual, they were talking about, how selfish and self-centered that you got to be to say, oh, God bless me with this parking spot. He blessed me with this house, but it's hungry kids praying and they don't get nothing. Or somebody being raped, molested, or abused. Now, of course, y'all already know this. Yahudah never said that he would intervene in anything for that matter. And if Yahudah does intervene, you know that he intervenes through the hand of a man. You know what I'm saying? So that's first and foremost. Second, of course, y'all already know this, and I had to let them know this, is that just because you pray don't mean that this man hear you. You know what I'm talking about? Like a lot of people this man don't fool with. And people don't understand how this man works. And it was shocking to these people that they could see that this man emphatically states that he does not hearken to the voices of those who do not trust in him, do not hope in him, and do not serve him, and who run afoul of him. He don't fool with them. So I'm mentioning all of this here because, again, to impart the very point of these people are not even confident and willing to be absent from the body, to be present with him. Most people just don't want to be here. Or they think if they are removed from this physical plane, that they will join him. And then they quickly find out that they don't join him anywhere. And not as for joining him, oh, you go up to heaven and be with him, but that you're separated from him. That your Ruach will not rest in peace, so to speak. Nevertheless, Genesis 5:18. And Jared lived 162 years, amen, and begat Enoch. Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. All the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. Enoch walked with Elohim. After he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with Elohim, and he not, because the was is not there, for Elohim took him. Now, we're going to discuss that rather quick, make it quick, make it smooth. Of course, you know Enoch is Kanok, and that is dedicated. That's what the man name means, dedicated. So when you look at who Elohim took, he took a man who was dedicated. And if you just like to know, Methuselah means man of the dark. Now, it says that Enoch walked with Elohim. Walked is halak. And of course, you know that is to walk, to go, but most importantly, to die, to live, or manner of life. It is hay, it is lamad, and it is kaf. So you can behold that the shepherd has been subdued. This is the manner of life that an individual must go to, which is taking us back to what we started from in Judges, that he taught the men of Succoth with thorns and briars. That Yahudah will take those who are evil or things that are uncomfortable to be able to instruct you into something. And of course, when you see that manner of life, of course, you see that lamad in the mix. Now, it says that Elohim took him. Now, of course, you know, took is lakak, which is to snatch, which is to seize, to lay hold of, to carry away. We're going to look at another spot in that regard, and y'all know that is Elijah. But before we do that, come over here to Hebrews chapter 11. (11 and 5). Hebrews 11 and 5. Hebrews 11:5. Oh, I couldn't tell you other than the fact that the quote unquote Council of Nicaea chose not to use the Book of Enoch. Well, there's a lot of contradictory things contained in the Book of Enoch as it pertains to the law and other matters. A plethora of contradictory things. Some brothers swear up and down by the either way. Some people tell brothers not to read it. Some people recommend people highly to read it. I'm not against anyone reading anything. And the reason being is you're supposed to have enough discernment and understanding to know what lines up with the law and what doesn't. I've never been one of those who tell people they shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, because you're supposed to have enough wisdom and understanding. The only thing that I ever tell somebody not to do, and it's only because it's come to my mind, I just mentioned this to somebody today. Like, well, if you are not rooted in the word of Yahudah, if you have not built your house upon a rock, I do not recommend an individual reading, studying any ancient religious systems or mystery school systems whatsoever. Because if you're not fully rooted in the word of Yahudah, I can put a strong amount of money that you will be persuaded and fall off into folly, especially a young lady, because those mystery school systems definitely play into the proclivities and lustful yearnings of young women, or any woman for that matter, to be completely honest. You know what I'm saying? I had the opportunity to study the mass majority of the religions known to man before Yahudah revealed itself. So I'm just telling you, and I wasn't dedicated to following after any of them personally. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, you look at some of that stuff, a lot of those religions, because they deal with the for lack of a better term, the divine transgender and things of that sort. It's very empowering for women, because a lot of women feel like the word of Elohim stifles them. The only reason why they feel stifled because there's a system, structure, and order that they have to walk in, and they cannot do, live, and the focus is not squarely and completely on them and their desires and pleasing them, and that doesn't sit well with a lot of women. So that's why a lot of women say that a word, and simps along with it, say that the word is misogynistic and hates women. That's why you hear those terms, because there's an order. You don't hear too many of them say that. And of course, y'all know this here, because I've told you this before. When them women things go to Dubai and go to all those Middle Eastern countries, they follow after the customs of them people. But the reason why they do so is because those people have some type of economic power. So that's what those women will respect. See, a lot of women, if you coming at women with the word of Yahudah and they looking at it, you don't have any economic power, any rule in the earth, they ain't really respecting that too tough. You know what I'm saying? And that's what confuses a lot of men, because you really think that she gonna fear Yahudah. And most women are not, if they're not pushed and prodded to do so by a community of men who surround them. It's very few women who, if they were not raised from inception to fear Yahudah, that would do that on their own with no male influence whatsoever. And if you believe that, you are foolish. You know what I'm saying? That would mean considerably that you just don't understand the biological nature and proclivities of the Pharisees, as it is said. This is not a knock. This is just what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? You should know by now that women are attracted to power more so than money. That's why godly men, or what they perceive to be godly men, have a greater attraction to them than someone who necessarily has money. Because that's what women desire. They desire power, desire to procreate with you. It's when you're dealing with things on a base, biological, regular level. You want to get at all that stuff they done sold you, and you're going to be upset. Well, a lot of people are going to be upset, especially when this thing falls apart. A lot of people are going to be upset because the illusions of life that you believe to exist will no longer be there. And you'll see the harsh reality of man in his base nature if he is not linked in and locked in with Yahushua HaMashiach, and many will be greatly disturbed. Nevertheless, Hebrews 11:5. It says, by faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death and was not found because Elohim had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased Elohim. So, of course, we must deal with translation. Translation. Oh, that's unfortunate. There we go. So the first time you see translated, it is metathemi. It is to transpose two things, one of which is put in place of the other. To transfer, to change. To transfer is oneself or suffer oneself to be transferred. To transport, to exchange. To carry over, to turn. But more importantly, you see to transpose. To take two things, one in the place of another. Now, he did this so that he would not see death. This is for a witness and a testimony. So just hold on. The second time you see this here, of course, translated again. Second word, same word. Translation, which is meathesis, which is to change. And this is also to change or to bring into heaven. Also, and then, of course, that he had a testimony, a witness, if you would, that he pleased Elohim. Well, we know that just from what's written in Genesis 5, because it said he walked with Elohim. He had a manner of life that was pleasing to Elohim, something that he found to be delightful. So, of course, we're going to have to deal with the translation. So I told you we're going to go to somewhere where, of course, you're familiar, and that would be 2 Kings chapter 2. But we're not going to deal with it as we usually do, even though that there are similarities in this particular story. And it came to, this is 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass when Yahudah would take up Elijah and Shamahim by a whirlwind, Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. Now, remember, Elijah's name means Yahudah. Yahudah is Elohim. Yahudah is Elohim. So we have someone who Yahudah is Elohim, and then you have one who is dedicated. So you have two people who we're about to read about who were translated and taken into Shamahim because they had a witness that they pleased Elohim. You had one who bare witness against the people and bared witness against the ruler of the people. That ruler of the people who, of course, persecuted the people of Elohim. Enoch doesn't have that witness dealing with persecution. You have Enoch because he was dedicated. Now, of course, if you remember dedication, you know that that's going to take you to, come over here to what it is, 1 Kings chapter 7. Let's do that there. It's not 1 Kings chapter 7, excuse me. 2 Chronicles 7. I'm going to take a look at 2 Chronicles 7 and 8. We're going to take a look at that Feast of Tabernacles with Solomon. Also, at that same time, Solomon, this is 2 Chronicles 7 and 8. Solomon kept the feast 7 days, all Yasharal with him, a very great congregation from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Mishraim. On the 8th day, they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days and the feast 7 days. If you remember with dedication, of course, you know that is the word that you know for Hanukkah. And if you look at it, some of the base or the root of said word has a little bit of similarity to Enoch, to Enoch's name. Look at it. Take a look. Become one with it. Because, of course, you know you have Kanak, which is the root word of for that word for Hanukkah for dedication. It's to train, to dedicate, to train up, to dedicate, to initiate a discipline, to dedicate or to train up. That is the root of said word. And of course, Canute or Enoch's name means to be dedicated. This is something that has been dedicated and set apart. Enoch was set apart for a specific cause, to have a manner of life that pleased Elohim. That's why he took it. Now, again, we're still and of booths. What should have came to mind prayerfully, if Yahudah had permitted, is forfeit your understanding clicking in. I'm talking about pure, unadulterated insight. Not, oh, I can precept something. We're no longer at the point where I'm just even looking for talking about you can precept something that is grossly irrelevant to me. I just genuinely do not care. What I'm talking about is that you having the insight and understanding. Now, we've talked about having insight and understanding before, but now it is of the utmost importance that it is continually and consistently stressed and pointed out that you need to have insight to the will of Elohim and not the ability to answer question or precept information. That is useless for the purpose of saying that I can know something. You need to have the insight into it. So when I say that you're looking at, okay, boom. And sometimes y'all can't do it because you owe stuff. You're just not allowing the understanding to flow. The understanding is supposed to be a wellspring of life. It's just supposed to flow. So when it's not flowing, it's because you're approaching it carnally. Not that it's not necessarily present, but you're approaching it. I told you this before. You cannot approach this word as a scholastic endeavor. You can't approach it like I want to learn it like how I learn in school. You're going to be disappointed. This is not that type of information. If you're approaching it as I want to be entertained, you're approaching it wrong. This is not that type of information. All of that is just your selfless inclinations to make yourself have a proclivity to pay attention. Because if you're fully invested, none of these things come to mind. The only thing that is important is gaining the insight to the information that can save your soul alive. Because, see, you would approach it as this is as the law tells us that this is not a vain thing for us. This is our life. That's how you're approaching it, because your entire life revolves around it. Each mistake that we make consistently, we're seeking to have understanding. You understand? We understand that life is very difficult. Things occur, there's ebbs and flows and things of that sort. But understanding is what is going to, matter of fact, I'm 19. It's 16. You could take it 16 and 16. Screw it. Proverbs 16 and 16. And the mentioning, when I mentioned 2 Chronicles 7, you're looking at, okay, dedication, consecration. Root word is to dedicate, to train up. Enoch names means to death. That's what should have came to mind as forth is understanding, because we're looking at a temple or a body that was set apart and it pleased Elohim. You understand? This is taking us to how did he please Elohim? Now that's if you've been seeking insight for examples that, because just because a particular example comes to my mind does not mean that the particular example that comes to your mind is not here. You have to understand that. You know what I'm talking about? The what level of that particular matter as it relates to that, because I know most of you, let me say I don't know. I pray that most of you, if something comes to your mind that may be different than what comes to my mind, that you go back and look at with your mind to get whatever insight that you would need to derive from that particular example that came to your mind, because prayerfully you would have sat back and say, dang, how did that come to mind? Let me go back and see what that's talking about. Shalom, man. Sixteen, Book of Proverbs. You know what I mean? How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver. So you have to understand that. Like Wisdom and understanding is greater than silver and gold. Most men don't value that. That's why he said in through James in the epistle that the kingdom is those who are poor in this world but rich in faith, because that faith is what would produce the wisdom and understanding. The wisdom and understanding of Elohim is not desirable in this society, because I told you before, you can't flaunt it. It's not like putting on some Louis Vuitton shoes, jumping a European whip, doing all type of fly and exotic stuff that the majority of Americans like to do, who really don't have the financial ability to do so, and compared to those who actually control the resources and the pleasant place that you dwell. See, we don't have that type of thinking. I think I put that in the chat, but of course I think many, and that according to economists, they think that it's going to taper off by the middle of spring 2022, as they put it. But that could very well be hyperbolic conversation on their behalf, to blow smoke up your butthole for you to go for the banana in the tailpipe. Now, if you don't understand what it means to have 6% inflation in a 31-day period, I suggest you start seeking increase. That means the things that you can buy is drastically shrinking. And your wages is not matching the rate of inflation. Now, wages haven't been matching the rate of inflation for a very, very long season. Now, I know each know about this stuff, but I'm going to tell you something. The rate of inflation in actuality and reality has nothing to do with capitalism. It has to do with the fact that you're not using real money. That's why you have inflation, because you're not using real money. When you're using real money, there can't be inflation. You understand? Can't be. Now, we laughed and joked about it, but I told y'all that when it was going down, when the people were giving out them stimulus checks and when they were giving out all these PPP loans, you should have already known that inflation was coming. You can't print out that much fiat currency and it doesn't cause an increase in goods and services. Now, it does not help that the powers that be, through whatever means that they seek to do it, have sought to restrict the supply chain. Yeah, they tell us it's employee shortages and things of that sort, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. They want to have a shortage because that causes more supply and demand. Now, that is capitalism, and that is the manipulation of a populace in order to extract the very little resources that they have as a means to destroy an economic and political system in order to bring forth the will of Yahudah. And I say, let that be brought to pass. Because it is the will of Yahudah that all men be set in a position where they must either worship the devil or worship Yahudah. Nothing will stop it. It must come to pass. Let Yahuwah's will be accomplished and let it come forth swiftly. Because there's going to have to be a separation from the sheep and the goats. But then pay attention to it. You ain't never had no shit or nothing. Ever. And now all of a sudden, because of a pandemic, now you have a shortage of this, that, there, and the third. I don't buy it. Because the only people who have been benefiting from said shortage and pandemic are the top 1%. I'm talking about in this country. We're not speaking for any other country, just this one. You know what I'm saying? And they're feeding off of you because they know that most people are consumers at heart. You know what I'm saying? They know this. And they know that most of us live off of debt, which is why they encourage you to increase your debt in order to, and they take your debt and they flip your debt in order to make themselves richer. See, we don't know these things, and we just look at it and think it's a joke and think it's a game. See, the next way they finna get these niggas is they got you dealing in, they got you running to your NFTs, they got you running to your cryptos and all this type of third, and it looks absolutely lovely. But when these people pull the rug from up under your feet, them cryptocurrencies and dollar bills ain't gonna mean nothing because you're not gonna use it according to what they want. They're tripping on. I seen this nigga talking about this here, man. They say Facebook is willing to lose $10 billion a year on some metaverse. Do you know how sad it is that people are looking forward to being a virtual reality because they hate actual reality? That's how sad people is, man. And you ain't even realize that this junk ain't about no big satanic plan per se. It's to continually detach people from reality, to make their life experience so miserable that you would want to be detached from reality. So when things in reality actually happen that can push the people left or push the people right, or whatever the case may be, spiritual and psychological ploy upon the minds, hearts, and souls of the people. And we too stupid to pay attention to it because you're too busy wanting to be entertained all the damn time. You know what I'm saying? That you can't see what's going on around you. And for those of us who have understanding, that's acceptable for us to be walking around here with like a blithering idiot, not actually cognizant of what is going on around you, just skipping around like it's sweet out here. And you know it's a life and death situation going on out here. It's invisible forces fighting for souls. It's a literal war for souls going on out here, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, hour after hour, second after second, minute after minute. And we skinning and grinning like it's sweet. We're not in the time of our forefathers when you went into Babylon and he told you, build you houses and, live and be comfortable. We're the generation of people that if you don't see it, the offspring that you birth are going to see the coming of Yahudah. Because you are a pure, unadulterated fool if you think that this man is going to allow the degradation and damnation that is coming across this earth, that he's just going to allow this to continue for another century, much less another millennium. Hell, you don't think this man going to allow this to continue for a few decades? This place is despicable and vile in every shape, form, and these present men of Succoth, in order to get you prepared so your temple can be dedicated, so that you can resemble the son of a king, so that you can be translated with him. But see, we're not paying attention to that because you're worried about the wrong thing. You know what I'm talking about? So then and I'm mentioning all of that because are you confident and willing to be absent in the body, to be present with the Lord? Are you willing for that? Are you confident in that ability? And that takes us back to the John 11, whosoever live and believe in me shall never taste death. You believe this? He said, I'm the resurrection and the life, baby. Well, you know what I'm saying? What is you talking about? Is you trying to get down or what? Now, I don't say these things just to be harsh and always, but this ain't no game though, my G. This ain't no game out here, man. You know what I'm saying? A brother that's on my page, that's in the word, man. I'm talking about always just pushing on things on a positive note and desiring salvation. That brother got in a gruesome accident. And by the grace of Yahuwah, I'm talking about him, his wife, his kids, and all that. By the grace of Yahuwah, he's still rolling. He could have easily left here. A good brother, the brother Greg that I know, man, rolled with, passed away, man. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, that could lead into you thinking about, hey, man, merciful men are taken away and nobody don't lay it to heart. They taken away, though. They ain't got to see the evil to come. I don't think y'all really believe that it's going to be that bad and it's going to be that evil. That's what my person is. I don't think people think it's going to go down like that. I think a lot of people believe that it's an over-exaggeration. You're just saying that. And all I can say is, Yahuwah knows. 16 and 17, the book of Proverbs. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. And that's ugly when they reach to heaven, man. That's ugly when they reach to heaven. Let me ask y'all this here. Do y'all recall in the text what happens reach to heaven? Do y'all recall when, where, and how when the sins reached unto heaven? I mean, they got to wait on you to do this one here. If you don't know, that's a J. Y'all don't know the example of when, where, and how when the sins reached unto heaven? I think I might wait y'all out on this one. That's what he referencing, Monte. It's one before that. Yes, I will allow it, sir. That's a good one. I'll take that one too. I will allow it. Yeah, I can't do nothing about it. 19:1. After that, Genesis chapter 6. After that, Exodus. Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. I'm sorry, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. You can make it 18 and 16. That's not it. That's not it. Genesis 18 and 16. Oh yeah, it's on both sides. Abraham, the thing which I do. Says, should he hide from Abraham that what he's going to do? Goodness grief. He's gonna let you know what time it is. He's gonna give you the information and make the proclamation in order you to protect yourself, that you don't get caught up in his wrath. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna let you know what time it is. That's not exclusive to Abraham. Let's see why it's not. Seeing that Abraham surely shall become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. Recall that we talked about that Wednesday. You can't curse or defy whom Yahudah has not cursed and defied, because we were talking about all the nations of the earth shall be blessed because of you, because we were talking about who? Balaam and Balak. Balak warning Balaam to curse Yasharal, as the scribes and the Pharisees were hoping that Pilate would curse Yahushua, and Yahushua and Pilate, with stabbing words in his direction. If you recall, we looked at 3 different words for cursing. He said, for I know that he will command his sons and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahudah to do justice and judgment, that Yahudah may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. And Yahudah said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is grievous, I will go down now and see whether they've done altogether according to the cry of it, which has come unto me, and if not, I will know. That means that their sin is grievous. Their cries have come on them. That's done reached under Shamahim. Now the iniquity is executed. This is what I was trying to impart, what I was saying to you earlier. That's why we're taking a pause to look at that. We still holding Proverbs chapter 16. Yahudah willing, we're going to slide to Judges chapter 8. You can keep on holding Genesis chapter 5. It's on general principle. We're completing Hebrew chapter 11. And you can have numbers 22 and 23 on deck, just on general principle as well. And we're also completing 2 Corinthians chapter 5, if you happen to be in a moment where you were holding that. Nevertheless, you can't think the sins of this place going to keep on rolling up, man. You people blaspheming this man's name, disrespecting this man's name, lying in this man's name. All manner of debauchery going on in the earth, all manner of idolatry. Genesis 6. Six and 5. He's against the system of righteousness. Because truth be told, if it ain't the system of Yahudah, it's wickedness. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't no in between. If it ain't a Yahudah, it's wickedness. It's simple as that. If it's not a Yahudah, it's wickedness. You know what I'm saying? It is rebellion, it is disagreeable, it is contrary to all manner of kadoshness and righteousness that anyone can accept. Also, we got 2 Kings chapter 2 on deck also. So, of course, we're still talking about Enoch, a man whose manner of life was found pleasing by Allah. So he took him. This man was dedicated and separated for a particular task. We're talking about Elijah, who was taken up and he was translated also. Both of these men having a testimony and witness that they pleased Elohim, so he changed them. Remember, Elijah means Yahudah is Elohim. So someone who was dedicated and separated because Yahudah was their Elohim are the ones whom you've seen taken. Let that resonate in your brain. You understand? I reference to y'all from time to time Leviticus chapter 20 when he said he severed you from other people that you might be his. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know John chapter 17. This man tell you sanctified him with your truth. Your word is truth. And I sanctified myself by the truth. Of course, we knowing that your mind should go from remove truth and just simply substitute faithfulness and fidelity and steadfastness of the word. You understand? You know, that's what it is. That's their mouth. That's their moon. This is steadfastness. This is fidelity. This is faithful. So this man set himself apart or dedicated or consecrated himself by the faithfulness of the word of Elohim. Same thing Enoch did. Same thing Elijah did. Now we're going to look at Elijah specifically for our thorns and briars. Of the thorns and briars of what he was able to learn. Because that would be our example for that matter this evening. You know what I'm talking about? We talked about that last week in Gideon, but Elijah will be our example because we're discussing him now. So why go look at anyone else? Genesis 6 and 5. Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every purpose and intent of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented Yahudah that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Now you have to sit back and look at it, right? If the wickedness of man was that great that it grieved his heart, that means they were wilding out here, man. I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? We sitting back looking at, you got men wanting to be women and women wanting to be men. And I ain't talking about no trannies. You got men with the mind of women and women with the mind of men. You got grown men who sit around and cry, whine, and complain about any and everything that they can come across. Nigga, you's a hoe. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't nobody respecting that, man. And you think you was sitting in heaven like, yeah, that's the lick. That put your britches on, nigga, and stand up and be a man. Ain't that what he told Job? Ain't that what David told Solomon? Gird your loins like a man. Indeed, this new generation did it, but you got to understand something. The generation prepared. And you know why you stamped it? Because you niggas want vagina too much. I ain't never seen a bunch of grown validation and support for women before a day in my life. Niggas, you crazy, nigga. If you stand up and be a man, then you're going to get what you need. Like, it don't make no sense. That's poor leadership. That leads to weakness in the seeds. You understand? That's what it leads to. That's why your son walking around here emotional, ready to blow somebody's brains out. See, the stuff that dudes look at as being gangster and hard, them really just they mamas with a pistol. Because you emotional. You snapping. That's not warrior stuff. Warriors don't behave that way. That's emotionality. You didn't get that from no man. Ain't no man raise you like that. Ain't no man teach you that. But see, we don't talk about that because Yahudah don't teach like that. But let me move on, man. Exodus 32, man, on the house. (32:1), man. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, of course, y'all know if you don't know. Now, I remember I told a brother this a long time ago, and he was like, he didn't realize. He was like, show me Yahushua coming back again in the law. I'm like, and he was saying it not as a question, as if it didn't exist, as if there wasn't a correlation anywhere. But you have to remember Moses going up into the mount as if he went up into Shamahim. He's communing with Elohim himself. He just ain't on no stroll. He just ain't go to another township, another city, another country. This man was communing with Elohim himself. That's why he say he delayed to come down. And because of the delaying, that's why people say, oh, he delayed his coming. Let us eat and drink and beat the men servants and the maid servants and be drunken. He ain't coming back. That's what you seeing out here. That's why these niggas, oh, you believe in this guy, daddy. Jesus ain't coming to save you. All this other type of stuff. You can't see the wickedness of man is great upon the earth. He ramping it up. You people blaspheming every day, running their mouth. Where are they, Elohim? They ridicule you because you stand for the word. But more people don't stand it because you're not going to weave it in and out. I ain't talking about weaving it as beating it across their head like this, but this is what I'm on. Everything that I say, everything that I do, every perspective that I hold is going to be centered around that. I had a lady in this group. She asked a relevant question. She said, "Hey, would you allow your youth to date, or would you teach them by your life experiences?" I was like, absolutely not. Allow the kids to date for what? And they supposed to be in the word of Yahudah. That makes no sense. Because see, it's only a twofold thing. You either maintain faithfulness so that you could teach that to your offspring, or my children ain't marrying yours. I can tell you that. They'll just stay here till I find somebody acceptable for them. Because I'm just not going to give my offspring to somebody because I know them. And you ain't did what you supposed to do. That would be a pure, what's the word I'm looking for? Just an utter disgrace of the fiduciary responsibility that I had been bequeathed by having children under my steward. But say, well, shoot, I know the nigga. I might as well just, yeah. And you had maintained faithfulness for yourself. That means you couldn't impart that to your offspring. We're not doing that. I say, why would we send our children if we teaching them that they were dedicated because Yahudah is their Elohim, and say, go out here and mingle with some sinners and see if you can figure it out? That makes absolutely no sense. She said, well, what you teaching with your life experience? I say, baby, everything that we do, whether the experiences that we had before the word, that's going to be interspersed on because I was ignorant to the will of Yahudah. These are the mistakes that I made that are contrary to the will of Yahudah. Baby, don't do that. Baby, this is how I live now. This is how we live now. You know what I'm talking about? And hey, everything is getting run and cycled through the word of Yahudah cannot be dodged or tossed to the side in order to appease people who don't follow it. And that's what people want you to do. They want you to remove Yahudah from you. See, baby, now we can't do that. We don't remove Yahudah. Yahudah does not get removed. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Because you have to sit back and look at it. If he has sanctified you from other people that you could be his, that means that if he's seen fit from the foundation of the world, he has dedicated you that Yahudah would be your Elohim so that you could be translated and forever be with him. I can't separate myself from him. I've been with him from the beginning. So that is impossible. He said, no man can pluck them out of my Father's hand. So it is impossible for that to happen. This is not able to be understood by those who have a carnal mindset, and it is not your job to get them to understand. That's a personal problem for them. If Yahudah has not saw fit to allow that to happen, all you can pray is that Yahudah turn them from opposing themselves that they may come to the knowledge of the truth. That's all you can do. And for us, we're going to continue to serve Yahudah in the fashion that he has allowed us to do so. You know what I'm saying? Because they looking at you like you're going to teach the kids to socialize. I'm like, the kids already socialize. Because the people have it in their mind, because she mentioned her own church experience. People got it in their mind that you just got your kids, because you're like, your kids can be sheltered. I say, baby, the word of Yahudah don't teach you to be sheltered. See, that's Christian stuff. Yahudah never taught you to be sheltered. He told you exactly what's going to happen if you go over here and fool with this. See, we done had that conversation. You don't tell your kids, don't tell them nothing, and they go out there and they not prepared. That's not how Yahudah teach. Yahudah tell you, hey, man, you see them boys over there? They like to do this here. And see, this is what happened to them. You don't want to go over there fooling with that. Is that correct? Have we not discussed that before? But I understand that from a kind of step of somebody who's been in the Christian church. They want to shelter the churn. We ain't sheltering nobody from nothing. We're going to show you the ugly realities of the world in front of you and show you the beautiful salvation of Yahudah. And baby, you make the call. Now, if you want to go out there and play these games with this here, see, we like this here. We already know we got to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So why would I not have my offspring as to be wise as a serpent to understand how to navigate and move? Baby, that's not wisdom. But I get it, though, because they don't know the word. So that's why they feel like they should be sheltered. Yahudah ain't never sheltered nobody from information. Yahudah ain't that because he warns you. He warns you of what time it is. He give you the information so you don't fall victim to what's in front of you. See, we know better than that. That's why I say people be speaking on the words. You ain't got no understanding. I had to tell the lady, baby, I ain't no Christian. You know what I'm saying? We don't follow none of those dictates and mandates. No disrespect to those people. But, baby, we not on that. I need to let you know, get a good, quick and understanding, baby. This is Kadash living in the faith of Yahushua. This is something totally different. We dealing with understanding. That's different. It's our duty and responsibility that these kids love Yahudah. Because she said, son, I say, baby, as it's a man's job to guide his children to Yahudah. That's his job. To guide them to Yahudah. That's your only job. You get kids, that's your only job is to guide them to Yahudah. That's your number one responsibility. Get them to Elohim. He gave you them for you to get them to him. They're not here to be your dress-up dolls. They're not here to fulfill, for you to vicariously live through them. They are there for you to get them to him. That's what he gave them to you for. That a generation that come after you may worship Yahudah. That's the purpose and the cause. That's another conversation. Exodus 32:1 though. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, up, make us gods which shall go before us. For this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we not what has become of him. Aaron said unto them, break off the gold earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people break off the gold earrings which were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. And he received them at their hand and fastened with a graving tool. And after he made a molten calf, they said, these be your gods, O Yasharal, which brought you up out of the land of Mizraim. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar. And Aaron made a proclamation, said, tomorrow is a feast to Yahudah. And rose up early on the morrow on earth and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. The people sat down to eat, to drink, and rose up to play. Yahudah said unto Moses, get you down, for the people who you brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted. They turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They've made them a molten calf and worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and says, these be your gods, O Yasharal, which have brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Yahudah said unto Moses, I've seen this people, and behold, it's a stiff-necked people. Look at this here, right? That sin reached up to heaven real quick. He said, man, look at these niggas, man. What you think Yahushua sitting there? He gonna tell him, hey, man, go on get that. These people done corrupted the earth. Oh, just what you see in Genesis chapter 6. What you talking about, Ish, specifically, so I know what you're referring to. He said, boy, you got to go on down there, man. Handle that. He said, my anger done wax hot. Boy, I'm going to kill these niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? These people hard-headed, man. I'm finna kill these people, man. These people are crazy. Revelation 14:4. And people don't realize that. And the thing that you could sit back and you could see, if you got eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, so whether it was the Genesis 6, whether it was the Exodus 32, and even in Sodom and Gomorrah, because it wasn't just booty hole playing in Sodom and Gomorrah. All these people were worshiping idol gods, and that's the thing that pissed him off the most. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they're going to be doing in the last hour, in the last days. That's what they're doing now. I was listening to these people, right? And they were talking about if you don't have a marriage license from the state. Oh, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Indeed it is. Several times. Is the marriage valid? And one of the ladies kept saying, we got to follow the laws of the land. So let me tell you something real so you can know this here, right? People take that passage and they always use it out of context. First and foremost, who knows, because that's Romans 13, follow the laws of the land. Who knows where Paul gets Romans 13 from? It's okay if you don't know the book and chapter and verse. But do you know where he get it from? Well, at least the book. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know the chapter and verse, that's fine. But at least the book. You should at least know what book it's in. Who can recall where Paul gets that from in Romans 13? Now, you know what I'm saying? It's in that time period, but it wasn't from the book of Daniel at all. Not explicitly and specifically. It's referenced in the book of Daniel where it derives from. Because the edict was given before Daniel. And she kept mentioning that, and this is the reason why I say this here. The law of the land does not say that you have to be married. Doesn't say that. You don't have to be married. But Yahudah says, if you're going to engage in particular activity, you're going to need to be married. The law of the land don't say that. You don't have to do that. You understand? It's funny to me when people say that, because you're saying that because at the end of the day, a marriage is simply a covenant contract. Now, if you want that covenant contract to be recognized by the particular state that you live in, and to be recognized by the federal government for the benefits that go to people according to this economic system, then that covenant is not going to be recognized. But a marriage is a covenant contract, and if you know anything, and this is what I would have told her: any one of us can enter into a contract, and the government does not have to be involved. Any of you that have done business, I've entered into several contracts business-wise with people, and the government is not involved with that contract. The government can enforce it if I was to take it into their court system. It's no different than what a marriage license is. If you take it in the court system, then they have parameters, not on that one there. They have parameters in regards to enforce it. The location where it's mentioned is in the book of Jeremiah. I want to say about the 28th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 29. Could be 26. It's one of the three. One of y'all can verify for me. I'm not finna go grab it at this particular time. Where he told them to come into Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel referenced what he's told to Jeremiah. That he delivered everyone into their hand, into Nebuchadnezzar's hand, and that they would have to obey him. But what we know is that we're supposed to obey Yahudah first. You know what I'm talking about? So the laws of the land are irrelevant because Yahuwah's laws will never cause us to run afoul of the law of the land to begin with. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that selective users of the book of Yahudah like to do. You understand? Thank you, Brother Francis. You know what I'm talking about? So you have to look at that. You have to pay attention to that. Because we talked about this the other day. Yahudah don't like covenant breakers. So if you enter into a contract with someone, he expects for you to hold up what you contracted to say that you would do. You understand? As simple as that. Because that's what a marriage license is. It is a covenant contract. And you don't need to go to the government for a covenant contract. That is not vital. That is not necessary. I'm just saying that in the aspect of people who say you got to follow the laws of the land. Now, if you want the proper things that go along with that, then yeah, you're going to have to do that because the land may not recognize you. That doesn't mean that Yahudah may not recognize you, but the land is not. But for us to not have any appearance of evil in the eyesight of those who seek to slander and blaspheme his name, that is why you go do it. As he told Peter, he said, man, what you telling them people I'm going to pay taxes for? He said, nevertheless, unless we offend them, because it was bigger to make sure that Yahuwah's name remains pristine than to doing what we want to do. That's the difference. See, most of us are not concerned with his name being pristine in the eyesight of the heathen who seek to blaspheme his name at every opportunity that they can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's really that simple. Because you don't have to do it, but it's not expedient for you to do so. I mean, that's a lot of people, we got to return to our customs. Nigga, you ain't a people and you ain't got a land. So you can't come with that. You can't try to set up customs in a strange place. The only thing you can do is obey what the man told you to do. See, we put more aspect of let me be Hebraic than just let me be a son of Elohim. But let me get off of that topic. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 6. It's not verse 4 that I desire. And I saw another Malachim fly in the midst of Shamahim, having the everlasting good news to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, fear Elohim, give esteem to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. Worship him that made Shamahim, the rats, the sea, and the fountains of water. That's what they better do. Proverbs 16, though. I'm at 16 and 18. I need to crank it up. We at an hour now. Pride before destruction, and a haughty ruach before a fall. Yeah, I mean, now when it comes to it, just because they sissies doesn't negate the fact that they have a contract and they bound to it. Now, of course, their contract is sealed in abominable practices. You know what I'm talking about? So even more so. See, it would be doubly, triply, quadruply worse for a pillow biter and a carpet muncher who entered into a covenant contract on top of to break it on top of the fact that they're abominable in their lifestyle. Because as far as Yahudah is concerned, a contract is a contract, irregardless of how, where, or the parameters of how you entered into it. You entered into a covenant, he expects for you to maintain your part of the covenant. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the aspects of what people don't really, especially in this country, because you're not taught the importance of covenant as far as Yahudah is concerned, about how people enter into contracts in this place. Because it doesn't matter what type of contract you enter into, Yahudah expects you to maintain your part of the contract of what you agreed to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is a wicked place in a strange land. But once you signed your name to sign, and there were people to witness the signing of that contract, he expects for you to hold fast to what you said that you would do. You know what I'm saying? But for the rump rangers, it's just doubly and triply worse. You already abominable, and then you don't keep your word, and then you keep your word on top of you pack that you's a faggot. You know what I'm saying? That's tough. That's tough. You know what I'm saying? That's tough. It's a hard pill to swallow. You know what I'm saying? But as it said in Isaiah, they declare they sin like Sodom, they hide it not. So we already know. If you're willing to let a man penetrate your rectum, you definitely ain't got no regard about keeping your word. Because you've already got to a debased state to begin with. You know what I'm saying? That you willing to be humbled. You know what I'm saying? You willing to be humbled. You a man who's not being humbled by Elohim, not humbling yourself, but you willing to be humbled. You already a weirdo. You know what I'm saying? You's a strange dude. Man, that boy Jack will go in there and like they said, man, that's the sad part. They say now you got the new stepdaddy. They say the men don't want to do it. Now they getting dikes. That's what they own out here, man. You think that man cool with that? You think that man cool with that? That he has to sit back and look at those his sons who are made in his image of the lineage of the prophets of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob being born to a whore and raised by a lesbian. You know what I'm talking about? Born to a whore and raised by a woman who want to be a man. You know what I'm talking about? These hoes is walking around here with lace front beards. Walking around here, man, in a delusion with a dildo in their pants, thinking that they are equipped with male genitalia. You got men who say, you know what? Women ain't the only one who give birth. Men do it too. You not a lady, baby. You's a man. You's a boy. You ain't got ovaries, son. You got testicles. You have to sit back and look at that. You think this man is pleased? You think this stuff? We ain't even talking about idolatry. We just talking about perversity. Well, you're supposed to dedicate your sanctuary to Yahudah, man. That's the first thing people, your body is your temple, misusing that. That man ain't talking about you smoking cigarettes and eating no food, no vittles, boy. That man talking about your body is the temple as forth as this is the sanctuary where Elohim seek to dwell. How could you defile it with all manner of wickedness emanating out of your heart? How you going to do that? He dedicated that. He consecrated that because you gotta understand that. And that goes back to what we were talking about with baptism, because that's a symbol of his death and his resurrection and the destruction of the first temple and the rebuilding of the next. You know what I'm talking about? We're talking about the destruction of the temple that Solomon built and the rebuilding of the temple that Haggai and Zerubbabel was a part of. That he say, you saw the latter house, but now this house will be greater in esteem. He dedicated that and separated that house for itself. You're going to defile it. That's what I mean by we take stuff, man, and you pervert the man's word to make it be about that stuff that he ain't even talking about. And by the grace of Yahudah, he's allowed all of us to have an understanding on what the man talking about. You have to understand that that's the greatest blessing that you could ever receive. The man is giving you the insight to deliver your soul from death. It's not nothing that any of us have done. It's the grace and mercy and righteousness of a just and good Elohim. Don't neglect it. Proverbs 16 and 19. Better is it to be of a humble ruach with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. He that handle a matter wisely shall find good. Whoso trust in Yahudah, blessed is he. The wise in heart shall be called prudent. The sweetness of the lips increase learning. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that have it. The instruction of fools is folly. Understanding is a wellspring of life to him that have it. You've seen that in regards to Yahudah when he resurrected from the dead and he opened their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. He told you, hey, he that believe on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. Well, if you believe on him, as the scripture has said, then you have an understanding. That's why he say you have a belly flowing with living waters. It's a wellspring of life to the person who has it. If you don't have understanding, then you don't have life. As simple as that. Remember, we talked about that when Eve mentioned it a week or so, or 2 weeks ago. A good understanding have all those that do his commandments, but it say a good understanding have those who do the work. And what is the work of Elohim? To believe on him whom he have sent. That's the work. These niggas want to talk about the work, everything else than what the man said it was. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you have to pay attention to that. Niggas say everything that this man say to do except what he actually said. That's all Bruce talk about is we doing this and we doing that, and that ain't what that man told you to do. You niggas don't believe nan tap a word up. I done already told you, man. You see a nigga lead with the law, go ahead and put your track shoes on, man. Act like your name Usain Bolt, Carl Lewis. You know what I'm talking about? Michael Johnson, and get to running. Because this nigga don't know what he talking about. Because anybody who got understanding of Elohim gonna lead with the son, because that means you leading with the father. That means what you're leading with Elohim. You can't save nobody with no law, boy. You're dumb. And when I say dumb, I'm talking about Isaiah 29 dumb. You a dumb dog that can't bark. That means you're talking, but you ain't saying nothing. Back to 2 Kings, man. Second Kings 2, man. Actually, we don't need to read all of that. That's going to get us to that point. But I will get us to verse 10, though. And 9, matter of fact. It came to pass when they were done over that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for you before I be taken away from you. Elisha said, I pray you let a double portion of your ruach be upon me. He said, you have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I'm taken from you, it shall be so unto you. But if not, it shall not be so. It came to pass as they still went and talked that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, part of them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into Shamahim. Elisha saw it and cried, my Abba, the chariot of Yasharal and the horsemen thereof. And he saw no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them into 2 pieces. He took up the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. Now, y'all know what a mantle is, right? You know, that was an outfit, a garment, a prophet's garment, if you would, a cloak. Why is that the purpose? Because that man was changed. What need does he have for earthly garments? That man has been changed. Now, I'm mentioning both of these men, Enoch and Elijah, for a reason, because both of them are painting you a picture of being in the resemblance of a son of a king. Because you have one who was changed because he had a witness that he pleased Elohim. So he was translated, he was changed. He walked with Elohim. So Elohim fetched him and seized him away because he was dedicated to service. You have one who Yahudah is my Elohim, and he suffered at the hands of the wicked in order to bring something to pass. And if you recall, what is the thing that Elijah prayed for that came to pass for a 3.5-year period, people? It's been a while since we talked about that. I get it all, man. It ain't gonna make no, they ain't gonna hurt nobody. For time's sake, I may not go in depthly and talking about Elijah dealing with the thorns, but I try to make sure that I get in as much as possible. What was the thing that Elijah had go down for a 3.5-year period, people? Yes, that is correct, sir. Come over here to the Epistle of James, if you would. That is correct, sir. The Epistle of James, chapter 5, verse 16. Then, of course, we'll take a look at when he actually says it. I just want the stuff that James wrote around it. The Epistle of James 5 and 16. Confess your faults one to another and pray for one another that you may be healed. Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man avail much. Elijah was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. He prayed again, and the Shamahim gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Brethren, if any one of you do err from the truth and one convert him, let him know that he which convert the sinner from the error of his way save a soul from death and shall hide a multitude of sins. Come to 1 Kings chapter 17, because we reading that to bring something back to your mind. It's been a minute, but we're going to run it. Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, son unto Ahab, as Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal live, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. According to what we just read, the Epistle of James in the 5th chapter, in the 16th verse to the conclusion of said chapter. In 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 1. What understanding do you have as it pertains to those particular passages? You do not have to be book, chapter, and verse specific. In this particular instance, I just desire for your understanding right now as it pertains to those two passages. Y'all ain't got nothing for me. I'll wait on you. I ain't gonna put my hat on this time. I can understand that. Looking at it in regards that they were living in an agricultural society, and no rain definitely would be debilitating to said society, to say the least. I just want to see if, like I said, it's been a long time since we actually discussed that said matter and what it is. We've dealt with it before. It may not be something that was actually because it's for some of y'all, so y'all can know. A lot of things that we may go to, it could be contained in a video, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the video is going to be named after that particular matter. It could just be weaved in and out of whatever we may be dealing with at a time. I'm just mentioning that in case when it comes to certain stuff and you ask, because it's not a guarantee that. Plus, at this particular point, I couldn't tell you no way. It's too many of them. You know what I'm saying? By the grace of Elohim, we've been going for a long time. Very, very long time. Now, and this one here, it wouldn't even be in the regards to the elite. Because if we look at this specific, you say the drought being the word, the ruach coming forth, chosen will receive. In this particular instance, what was going on there, East is all the people were worshiping Baal. So this wasn't even something just to punish the elite. This has something to do to punish the whole house because everybody was out of pocket. So you're looking at a tribulation for the beast and the famine. Everybody was out of pocket. And we can know that from 1 Kings 18 because he called everybody over there. Didn't call Ahab and Jezebel. He called the people and said, how long y'all going to halt? But see, come on over here. Because see, the rain didn't come because of one particular matter, and it was idolatry. It was idolatry. 18 and 17. It was idolatry. Every single solitary time. But when you see Yahudah get heated, it be behind idolatry. Look what Elijah told these people. It came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said unto him, are you he that troubled Yasharal? He answered, I've not troubled Yasharal, but you and your father's house. You forsaken the commandments of Yahudah and followed Balaam. Now therefore send and gather to me all Yasharal under Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent unto the sons of Yasharal and gathered the prophets together under Carmel. Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long you halt between two opinions? If Yahudah be Elohim, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. The people didn't answer a word. Now, Darius just hit the name. It wouldn't necessarily be a drought on the word. But let's come over here to John chapter 7 right now. You see, when you look at him praying for no rain, ain't no spirit coming down. But they were still getting word because Elijah was still prophesying, was he not? Remember, there were still prophets. The word was still going forth, but they ain't had no ruach. I mean, they ain't had no life. So when you look at that time period where Elijah prayed for it not to rain, that's the time period right here what we finna read in John chapter 7. Just hold on for 1 second. I know I mentioned verse 37, but we got to mention the verses behind verse 37. John 7:37. In the last day, that great day of the feast, Yahushua stood and cried, saying, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believe on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. This spake he of the Ruach, which they that believe on him should receive. For the Ruach HaKadosh was not yet given, because that Yahushua was not yet esteemed. Now return back to 1 Kings 18, because we have to look at Yahudah being esteemed. Once you see Yahudah being esteemed, you've seen rain come down from Shamahim. So once we look at Yahushua being esteemed, which is him being crucified, then you're going to see rain come down, which will allow to the sinner to convert from the error of his ways for a multitude of sins to be covered and to save a soul from death, which is the pinpoint of disgust, because after Elijah does this, Elijah is taken. But before Elijah is taken and after this here, because we can sit back and look at it, this man was persecuted. See, Ahab and Jezebel is Elijah's thorns and briars. You understand? The house of Yasharal was this man thorns and briars. Even the prophets of Baal, who he slaughtered, ended up being with his thorns and briars. Because remember, after this, Elijah wanted to what? He wanted to die. He said, they seek my life. They thrown down your altars and killed your prophets, and I'm the only one left. And I ain't no good either. So he used them to humble him. But nevertheless, let's come on back over here to 1 Kings 18. Because of course, it's this here, if y'all recall, when we went through the Chronicles of Kings. They're in the northern kingdom. There was not a single solitary righteous man who ever sat upon the throne in Yasharal. They all participated in idolatry. And when the leader participates in idolatry, the household is going to participate in idolatry. And the whole house of Yasharal at that time was worshiping Baal. Yahuwah wasn't with it. Remember what he said? He said, I got me what? How many men he said he had reserved that hadn't bowed the knee and kissed Baal? Good 7,000. Good 7,000. Let's just talk about him killing these niggas one time for the one time. Verse 22, I'm going to run it down because I like how Elijah kicked this game here. I personally find it entertaining and delightful. Then Elijah said unto the people, this is 1 Kings 18 and 22. I only remain a prophet of Yahuwah. Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, cut it into pieces, lay it on wood, put no fire under, and I will dress the other bullock, lay it on wood, put no fire. So bullock is for, of course, of the offering, laid on wood is representative of the stake, no fire or no affliction at that particular time. And you'll sit back, and this will also show you the correlation of when Yahushua said that no man can do anything to me unless my Father in heaven allow it, because it wasn't the Romans, it wasn't the Yasharal, it was Elohim who was offering them up, offering Yahushua up, and the people understood it not. Let's continue. And you call on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of Yahuwah. Elohim that answer by fire, let him be Elohim. All the people answered and said, it is well spoken. When Yahushua say, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Into your hand I commend my Ruach, and it is finished. That's when the fire came down from Shamahim to put fire on that said sacrifice, and it showed forth he was Elohim. That was manifested when the earth shook and the veil of the temple rent, and they say, truly, this man is the son of Elohim. Yet Yahuwah be esteemed. Let's continue. Verse 25, Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose you 1 bullock for yourselves. Dress it first now, for you are many, and call on the name of your gods and put no fire. They took the bullock which was given, they dressed it, called on the name of Baal from morning even unto noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But no voice, nor any that answered. They leaped upon the altar which was made, just making a fool out themselves. Just making a dumb fool out themselves. And that shows you that's what you get for worshiping nothing. You don't get no sympathy for me because you around here worshiping nothing. You's a dummy. Let me get that dressed it real quick, man. Yeah, they people stupid, man. That doggone idolatry, son, serious. When we look at dress, this one here is a sah. And you know what that is? To make an offering, to appoint, to ordain, or to be done, to produce, or to work, or to fashion, or accomplish, or to make. He told him, go ahead and do the work, my G. Go ahead and make that sacrifice. Let's continue, though. Verse 27, 1 Kings 18. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleeping, must be awaked. They cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets, till the blood gushed out upon them. It came to pass when midday was past, they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice. That there was neither voice, nor any answer, nor any that regarded. Elijah said unto the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of Yahuwah that was broken down. Now, let's look at broken down of the altar. These people broke the altar of Yahuwah now. That's Karaz. They tore it down. They overthrew it, destroyed it. That's what they did to Mashiach. Isaiah 59 tell you about it. Elijah took 12 stones according to the numbers of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of Yahuwah came, saying, Yasharal shall be your name. With the stones he built an altar in the name of Yahuwah, and made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. So, of course, you see that's the apostles, that he took them stones in the name of Yahuwah. Now, when you look at trench, it is te'alah. Of course, it's a conduit, a water course, a trench, but it also means healing of new flesh and skin forming over a wound, or a bandage or a plaster over a wound. Tau, Ayin, Lamad, and Hay. So guess what? You can behold and experience the covenant of the shepherd of Yasharal, because he's going to put a healing of new flesh over a wound. Well, what is the wound? You were wounded by sin and death, and now he will cover it with a new flesh, a new body, which is the purpose of us even talking about Enoch and Elijah to begin with, because he that is dedicated and consecrated, and Yahudah being his Elohim, had been taken and translated and changed so that you could be in the resemblance of the son of a king, because you must be born again of the Ruach, or you cannot enter into the kingdom of Elohim. Nevertheless, verse 33, 1 Kings 18, he put the wood in order, cut the bullock in pieces and laid him on the wood, and said, fill 4 barrels with water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. What do you think this means? Why the purpose of pouring the water on the wood? I'll let you think on that as I continue on. He said, do it a second time. They did it the second time. He said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. Well, what is the purpose of putting the water on the sacrifice and on the wood? It's just pouring out the Ruach of Elohim upon Yahusha, because all of this is by the will of Elohim. That's why they did it 3 times, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's continue. Water ran about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. Filled the wound with the Ruach. Or filled that new flesh with the Ruach in order to cover your old wound, I should say. It came to pass at the time of the offering of the sacrifice, because evening is not there, Elijah the prophet came near and said, Yahudah Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and of Yasharal. That's why he made the mention to say it with Yasharal and not Jacob. Because now you talk about dominion and power to rule with Elohim. Ain't got no need to be talking about Jacob. Elohim is here. He is about to be esteemed. Let it be known this day that you are Elohim and Yasharal, and that I am your servant, and I've done all these things at your word. That's what they understood when Yahusha resurrected from the dead, that his father is Elohim and Yasharal, that Yahusha was his servant, and that everything that he did at the word of his father, as he told you in John chapter 5 and in John chapter 12. Hear me, O Yahudah, hear me at this, that this people may know that you are Yahudah Elohim, and you have turned their heart back again. See, that goes back. That's why you're going to see the rain. That's why it's important, why you see that with Elijah and why he's taken up. See, we look at that as showing, hey, that's what Pentecost given to the Ruach. But now we're going to have to talk about what come before that. Because before Yahusha did that, there had to be a sacrifice for him to be esteemed, for the people's heart to return. That's why they say this here in Malachi. Come take a look at it. Malachi chapter 4. I'll read all of it. Malachi 4:1. It ain't but 6 verses in it anyway. For behold, the day come that shall burn as an oven, and the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that comes shall burn them up. Saith Yahudah of hosts, and they shall leave them neither root nor branch. That's what happened to the priests and prophets of Baal. They died that day because they were proud. They became as nothing. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up as calves of the star. And they shall tread down the wicked, and they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet, and the day that I shall do, saith Yahudah of hosts. Remember you the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Yasharal with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahudah, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come smite the earth with a curse. And notice that's what he mentioned, that your hearts might get turned back. And of course, if you know you're talking about turn, what do you have here? You have sabab, samak, bat, and bat. To turn aside, to go about, to encircle, to turn about, to be brought around, to change, to transform. So he's coming to do this, to transform your heart, which is still in regards of what we're talking about with Elijah and Enoch being translated and changed. Because in order to be taken up as they were taken up, you would need to walk with Elohim as Enoch did, because Enoch dedicated and consecrated himself to Elohim. You would have to be as Yahudah is your Elohim, as Elijah acknowledge, and that you will ride for Yahuwah in every aspect, regardless of what everyone is doing around you. In regards to idolatry, remember, these people worship another God consistently and constantly. There's a lot of things that would draw the ire of Yahuwah, but nothing would draw the ire faster than worshiping another God and giving his esteem to another. Verse 38 of 1 Kings 18. Then the fire of Yahuwah fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. Let's look at licked up. And that one there is lakak, and that is to lick up, literally. Nothing in that that's going to come up any different. But of course, that's to draw up the water. Let's continue. And when the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, Yahuwah, he is Elohim. Yahuwah, he is the Elohim. Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal and let not one of them escape. They took them. Elijah brought them down to the brook of Kishon, and he slew them there. Elijah said unto Ahab, get you up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of the abundance of rain. So Ahab went up to eat and drink, and Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, go up now and look towards the sea. He went up and looked and said, there is nothing. He said, go again 7 times. It came to pass at the 7th time, he said, behold, there arose a little cloud of the sea, like a man's hand. He said, go up, say unto Ahab, prepare and get you down. The rain stop you not. And it came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. The hand of Yahuwah was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. So once you see Yahuwah being esteemed, you see the rain comes. This is showing you that this 1 Kings 18 is a similitude of the sacrifice of Mashiach, that once he was esteemed, then the rain can come. Hosea chapter 6, verse 1 on the house. And of course, this will allow the people's heart to be turned back, to be transformed, or for you to be born again. Once you are born again, then you can begin to resemble the son of a king. And of course, he used Ahab and Jezebel, and you'd have to go through the entirety, well, not the entirety of Kings. Let me see why you would want to go ahead and make your beginnings when it comes to that. Yeah, you start about chapter 17. You work your way through. And that's when you begin to deal with what Ahab had going on and the things that he did to Elijah. That's correct. Lift him up from the earth, and all men will draw unto him. Indeed. Of course, you see that right there in 1 Kings 18, in the beginning of it, when Elijah asked to see Ahab. And of course, Obadiah was mentioning to him, hey, I'm hiding prophets by 50, man. They slaying them out here. That's what Ahab was for. With thorns and briars in the wilderness. Hosea 6:1. Come, let us return unto Yahuwah, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten, he will bind us up. After 2 days he will revive us, and in the 3rd day he will raise us up. We shall live in his sight. Then we shall know, if we follow on to know Yahuwah. His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth. That's what you've seen. He came right unto him because he said, as a man's hand. That's how the cloud looked, to bear you up in his hands, to be able to rain down life on you once he had been esteemed, to turn or transform your heart. See, what else we had, right? We had Kings. Let's return to Judges chapter 8. Because we have to look at the aspect of what gets you to become in the image of a king. Remember, because he told Gideon, they men like you are. And again, we're talking about Enoch, and Enoch was dedicated and separated under Elohim. And he had a testimony that it pleased Elohim because his manner of life did. Well, what was his manner of life? The just shall live by their faith. That was his manner of life. Of course, that's what's going to please him. So he took it. Elijah suffered. That's where we needed to go. Come over here to 1 Peter. I had it in my mind a long, long time ago. We ain't never get there to it. 1 Peter 2:19. He say, for this is thankworthy. If a man for conscience towards Elohim endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what esteem is it when you be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently. But if, when you do well and suffer for it, and you take it patiently, this is acceptable with Elohim. And this is why Elijah was able to be accepted, because he suffered. He suffered. And he prayed for it not to rain for 3.5 years. Same way that it didn't rain for the time of Yahushua's ministry. But the minute that Yahushua was esteemed, the minute that Yahuwah was esteemed with Elijah, the rain came. Because you have to look at what went down with that. Yahuwah was esteemed to transform the people's heart for the people to return. Of course, he's going to let the rain down when he's trying to get the people to return, to bless them with the living water of which they need to have life. That's why understanding is a wellspring of life to them that have it. If you don't have it, then you don't have life. Many people don't have life. Knowing precepts does not mean you have life. It's understanding said precepts which shows forth you have life, because then, of course, you're going to live according to that understanding. Nevertheless, back to Judges 8. And 16. He took the elders up, and of course, this is also a reference on what we read in number 23. Let my last end be like his, that I die the death of the righteous. You know what I'm talking about? That's that number 23 and 10. Let my last end be like his. All of this is pertaining to why he chose the tribe of Judah, the Mount Zion, which he loved. Because Canak, or he who was dedicated and trained up, was willing to live by his faith. So, of course, Yahuwah is going to choose him. Elijah, who Yahuwah is my Elohim, who was willing to suffer to be able to go do the work, to be persecuted and alienated from everyone around him, that Yahuwah might be esteemed. Of course, Yahuwah is going to translate him and change him. Of course, that's what's going to happen. That's a witness of what was to come for you to follow in like fashion. See, most people like to talk about Enoch and Elijah going up into heaven and, oh, this, that, and the third, but they don't want to talk about what it means, what it represents, what it's really about. It's about the sanctification of those who Yahuwah is their Elohim, and the two things that is necessary for them to do. See, you're not going to walk with Elohim. You're not going to have a manner of life according to Elohim if Yahuwah is not your Elohim, which means that you would be willing to endure whatever comes along with that. Elijah was willing to suffer so Yahuwah would be esteemed. He was willing to die. Notice, he said that in the 1 Kings 19, that he was willing to be absent from the body to be present with the Lord. He said it. We just didn't go and read it, but you can read it for yourself. He was willing, he had that confidence, and he was willing to do that. That's why Yahushua had the confidence to say he was willing to be absent in the body, to be present with his Father. See, this is different. See, we don't be ready for that conversation. We're just looking at this stuff because we lack understanding, and we think that junk cool. Do you understand how sad of a state it got to be for you to boast in your lack of understanding, to feel like you got understanding and you really don't know nothing? That's not good. That's very saddening to the soul. Very, very saddening to the soul. We've got to be some of the most proud, arrogant, lack of understanding possessing individuals who probably ever held this word, in my personal opinion. I can't believe that generations that preceded us in this God-forsaken place were this arrogant and proud in their declaration of an understanding of which they do not possess. You know what I'm talking about? We proud, like, yeah, boy, we understand and know. But if you have a discerning ear and you listen to them, like, yo, these niggas stupid. We'll say that the other day. These niggas are stupid. Don't nobody check these niggas. But shoot, if you all stupid, who gonna check who? That way, say if the blind lead the blind, they all gonna fall in the ditch. He said, leave them alone. See, that one there hurt a lot of bruise. And the reason why I hurt a lot of bruise, because you were raised by your mama. You want to nurture and save everybody. And if you were taught and guided by men, you know that everybody can't come along, son. You got to leave some people behind. See, that's a woman's mind. We can save everybody. You know, everybody got a chance. Men know, shoot, that nigga done chose his route, son. We got to keep on going. Let that nigga die. See, that don't sound right. That ain't right. Shoot, but your own Savior said, man, leave them niggas alone. Because if falling in the ditch means falling in the grave, they gonna die. They gonna die. And guess what? Ezekiel had already told you that. He said, shoot, they follow behind the false prophet. The reward said, he said, shoot, the same thing that happened to the false prophet gonna happen to him that seek unto him. Because that's how men operate. Men don't operate based off no feelings. I got to save every single solitary body. Hey, man, we don't have no desire that anybody perish. But if an individual has chose that death delights him, then death it shall be. Who am I to stop you? You can't save somebody who don't want to be saved. You can't heal somebody who revels in sickness. You can't instruct somebody who delights in folly. This man tells you this repeatedly. If they're showing you that's what they delighted, you can't help a nigga who can't see. And you say, boy, I got 2 sets of eyeballs right here, man. I can pop them in right now and you can see. And they like, no, nigga, I like walking in the dark. You gonna make the nigga take the eyeballs? You can't make him see if he don't want to see. Man, y'all just don't understand, man. I was telling the boy that, boy, some people delight in folly. They love it. And the text tell you that. We just seen that, right? The instruction of fools is folly. Some people like folly. Some people like to be in chaotic environments. Some people like to be in misery. Some people, they dwell in it. They love it. They love it. Man, look here, man. And they told me some earlier day, seeing somebody, man, boy said that boy moving with joy. But that junk different when you get misery from around you. Life is different when you get misery from around you. See, we ain't talking about, some people just miserable because that's just them. Ain't nobody making you miserable. You was miserable when you came around the corner. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody. See, sometimes, man, and you should already know this here, man, if a person, because, you know, we done talked about this before, man. Nigga want to tell you, especially women feel like it's a man's job to heal her from this and heal. Man, that man can't do that if he didn't do it to you. That ain't no different than a child. You can't heal nobody from no childhood trauma if you wasn't the one who caused it. If your mama and daddy did this, that, and the third to you, ain't nothing none of us can say that's going to get you right. Because we ain't the one who did it to you. You got to have the wherewithal to get yourself right. And when individuals is carrying all manner of baggage on them, boy, they bring misery with them everywhere they go. It ain't nobody bringing no misery to you. You got problems. You know what I'm talking about? You don't want to give your problem to Yahudah. You don't want to get them straightened and ironed out to get yourself together so you can live a functioning, healthy, and joyous life. So ain't nothing I can do for you. I'm going to let you stew in it because I'll be damned. Do you understand? I done told you that before. Well, I ain't, look here, man. Yeah, we live poor, hard times, stress, whatever you want to call it. Boy, my house wasn't miserable as a child. I refuse to live a life like that. I refuse. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not going to do it. I'm unaccustomed to being in a house that was devoid of peace. I'm unaccustomed to it. I refuse to do so. I'm just not going to do it. Because I guarantee you, boy, you got an issue or problem. I don't care who he is, friend, family, foe, whatever the case may be. Well, I bet I ignore you because I'm not absorbing none of that. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not absorbing none of that. Man, them niggas be riding with me, man. When we be working, man, they be talking about the stuff them niggas be going. I be like, you niggas crazy. Because I'm not participating in none of that, man. That's crazy. It don't make no sense, man. But look here, man. Life is not an extremely long endeavor to be walking around living unpeacefully. Damn sure not finna be living in no misery. I'm definitely not going to do that. For what? Man, look at me. I told you this before, man. Y'all niggas grown. That time was different when a lot of y'all was in y'all early 20s. Now y'all about to most of y'all finna touch 30. If you ain't already touched it, man, look here, man. Well, you got some junk happen to you, nigga. Man, get over that junk and tighten up, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear that crap no more. You can't be walking around here carrying stuff for no 10, 15, 20 years, nigga. Looking for no sympathy. Nigga, tighten your cow behind up somewhere with that folly, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. And you got churn. You supposed to be a man, nigga. You finna walk around, woe with me, look at me, feeling sad for me for the rest of your life. And think somebody supposed to give a damn? Nigga, get some help. Get some help. I'm talking about that we serve Yahudah. How you walking around like that? That don't make sense to me, man. That you walk around like that and you serve Yahudah. How? How when this man say cast all your cares upon him because he care for you? How you still carrying all this stuff, man? That man say, come unto me, all you that are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Why you ain't gave that man your stuff? That man say, come you that got a heavy burden and give him to him. Why you ain't gave it to him? That just don't make sense to me, man. You just walk around carrying stuff. At this point, that's what you like. And I'm going to let you stay like that because clearly you must want to die. And I ain't finna die with you because you ain't finna drag me down with that jump. Well, I promise you not. You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely not. Ain't nobody trying to be around that crap. Nobody want to live like that. Type of nigga sad all the doggone time, nigga. Mad all the time. Nigga, something wrong with you. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't nothing in the world, man. Ain't nobody like this hard. Well, I guarantee you, ain't none of y'all like this hard for you to be walking around here sad and mad all the time. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't no way in the world. Not no big grown rusty nigga. But I give you I give some leeway if you was in your teens, early 20s, man, you niggas grown. With churn. Man, ain't nobody going for that. Tighten up. You know what I'm saying? Tighten up. You make your life sad. You make your life hard, nigga, because you don't know how to enjoy it and let junk go. Man, if your mom and daddy wasn't about nothing, my nigga, they wasn't about nothing, let that junk go. What you carrying it for? You ain't hurting them. You hurting your damn self. And when I say your damn self, you damning yourself. Literally. You're damning yourself. Why? Because your mama ain't hug you, nigga. Because your daddy wasn't there for you. Nigga, my daddy wasn't there for me. I ain't walk around sad, mad about this man near a day of my adult life, man. I know full well whether he was there or not, that ain't had nothing to do with me. So I'm not finna be walking around with no resentment and anger towards this man. For what? My mama done did things, boy, that I ain't particularly care for and agree with. I'm not walking around here mad with this woman about this junk. And if you were pissed off about it, nigga, that junk was 15, 20 years ago. You still mad, nigga? You still upset? Man, tighten up, man. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't no way in the hell you walk around half your life about some junk happened to you when you were 12. Nigga, go talk to somebody, man. Because clearly talking to you who ain't doing it, find somebody and get yourself together. You know what I'm talking about? How is you going to allow yourself to be defined as a victim? I refuse. I refuse. You know what I'm talking about? Man, ain't no way in the world, man. Look here, that's the same way I tell you, don't let nobody define you. A sinner. Shoot, lying to me. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to let somebody define you in misery, sorrow, death, and pain? That's how you're going to let somebody define you, man? That's victimhood. Nigga be talking about, yeah, we are cursed people. Yeah, the people cursed. I serve Elohim. Nigga, I ain't cursed. I'm not going to allow you to put, we were just watching Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me, nigga. Not finna let you put that evil on me, man. You know what I'm talking about? To walk around here like a victim, woe is me, everybody do me wrong. Nigga, that ain't, if you a man and you doing that, nigga, go look in the mirror and slap yourself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You don't have the capability to even look in the mirror and tell anybody that you a man. And you walking around here acting like a victim, trying to feel sorry for yourself and want somebody else to do it. Ain't nobody trying to hear that crap. And you wonder why these women don't listen to you. You wonder why these women don't follow you, nigga, because you's a hoe. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga, ain't nobody following that. That ain't the way you, how you serve Yahudah and you walk around here like a victim. Nigga, that's insane. No son of Elohim. How you resemble the son of the king and you a victim? Get the hell out of here, nigga. That don't make no sense. And we just sit back looking at it. Man, all these brews sitting around here playing victim. I ain't finna play victim with you, nigga. I ain't no victim. You know what I'm talking about? Anything that done happened to me in this particular place, and when I say happened to me, I'm talking about happened to anybody who looked like me. But that stuff happened to me because I wasn't obedient to my Elohim. I ain't no victim. I'm just reaping the consequences of my actions. I ain't no victim. Ain't nobody victimize me. Satan can't victimize me, nigga. That nigga ain't got no power to victimize me. Nigga, you's insane. You know what I'm talking about? You can't sit here and say, you know, man living in sorrow. It's not what men do. Men live in strength and might, and that strength and might come from your joy and trust in the everlasting Elohim. How you say you got the faith of Yahudah and you walk around here in sorrow and the fruit of this man's word is joy? You a liar if you ever seen one or told one. But you already know a lie don't care who tell it. Don't make no sense, man. We ain't talking about that you ain't gonna have ebbs and flows, but boy, you ain't living like that though, my G. You ain't walking around in sadness and sorrow and anger and angst and worry and anxiety every day, all day, and you talking about you serve Yahudah. Because I mean, we already talked about this. He say if you're anxious, you need to think on that which is good. Think on that which is just. That made it show me we don't really believe what we talking. Yeah, you're going to have a moment, man. Hey, man, I'm frustrated, man. I don't know how this going to get done. And then you have to remember, Yahudah is faithful. All things will work out well in his time. And if he see fit, and if he don't see fit, let Yahudah be esteemed. Because regardless of what, left, right, up, down, good, bad, or whatever, let Yahudah be esteemed at the end of the day. At the end of the day, let Yahudah be esteemed. He's just and righteous in all his works. I'm the one who's done unjustly. That don't mean that you done unjustly in that moment. I just done unjustly because I've been in this flesh and didn't live according to the will of Elohim. Yahudah ain't never done unjustly at any time to any man. You know what I'm talking about? And that's just how you got to view it. That's just how you got to view it. Yahudah faithful. He going to do what he do, when he do it, how he do it, however he want to do it. But the one thing for certain, two things for sure, man, you can't be walking around here face balled up, angry, sad, and you talking about you got the word of Elohim in you. Boy, you's a liar. You's a liar. You in your flesh, nigga. Tighten up. Judges 8 and 16. And he took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. He beat down the tar of Penuel and slew the men of the city. And he said unto Zebah and Zalmunna, what manner of men were they whom you slew at Tabor? And they answered, as you. So were they. Each one resembled the son of a king. He said, they were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. As Yahudah lived, if you had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And look what he said. And he said unto Jephthah, his what? Firstborn, up and slay him. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Now, of course, you know, Yahushua that firstborn, except he ain't going to sit back and say he's scared because he a youth. He going to up that sword and slay him. But let's come over here to Mark chapter 3, because I meant to mention this to you. He said, those were my brethren, even the sons of my mama. Let me get the Mark 3, then I get Galatians 4 on the house. Let Yahudah be esteemed. Man, I'm going to tell you this here, man. I'm telling you, man, I be seeing dudes be saying, I'm like, boy, these niggas be tripping, bro. Niggas be tripping, man. 3 and 31. Niggas be straight up tripping. You know what I'm saying? We got something that people ain't got, man. Boy, you got the lamb, yo. You got the lamb. You know what I'm talking about? You got to keep your mind focused on that. At the end of the day, your life ain't about nothing other than the lamb. It's not about how much wealth you can accumulate. It ain't about how much fun you can have, how much status you can get. Ain't about none of that, man. Boy, your life about the lamb. And again, I just want you to let this register in your brain. Yahudah saw fit to draw you unto his son. You understand that? That man say, no man can come to the Father except he draw him. So that means that it's not nothing that I did. It's not nothing that anybody else who you ever heard teach the word did. That means that when that word came out and entered into your ears, that he drew you to him with his word, not with the person who said the word, not the person who, quote unquote, introduced you to the truth. That ain't had nothing to do with nothing. They ain't had nothing to do with nothing. I'm going to read the verse since I mentioned it. They had nothing to do with nothing. That means that this man had to draw you, and if he drawed you, he drew you for the explicit purpose for your soul to be delivered, nothing other. See, most of you can't understand that because you worry about the wrong things. That you can't even understand the level of mercy and love that have been presented unto you because you worry about the wrong thing. And you ain't never going to get right because you worry about the wrong thing. You know what I'm talking about? That's why more people can't get it together. You worry about the wrong thing. You worry about stuff that don't even matter. That don't even matter. You don't invest quality time in places you don't need to be. You invest quality thoughts and intentions in places that you don't even need to be. You know what I'm saying? You spend too much time thinking about things that don't even matter, much less doing stuff that don't matter or going to places that don't matter. You spend too many thoughts in places that don't matter, and then don't allow the word to seep in and do what it's supposed to do. Mark 3:31. Then there came his brethren and his mother standing without and sent unto him, calling him. The multitude sat about him, and they said unto him, Behold, your mother and your brethren without seek for you. And he answered them, saying, Who is my mother or my brethren? And he looked round about on them which sat about him and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren, whosoever shall do the will of Elohim, the same as my brother, my sister, and mother. Now, of course, we're looking right here in Judges, where this man says, they were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. He said, if you would have saved them alive, I wouldn't kill you. See, that's one of the reasons why the beast got to die, because he didn't save them souls alive. So you know what? I got to kill you, boy. Because he said, these are my ox, man. The ben of my M. These are my relatives, same tribe, reciprocal relationship, also bearing resemblance. Because he that sanctifieth, and he that sanctified all of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren. Galatians chapter 4, if you would. You should be joyed daily, regularly, and consistently that Yahudah saw fit. Matter of fact, before I even get Galatians 4, let me go and run this John chapter 6, man. Let me go ahead and run that, because I'm already back here. Let me go ahead and run that, man. John 6:43. We read it the other day. I'm going to read it again. Then I'm going to read it again in verse 65 in the same said chapter. And then I'll read it in Psalm 65 just because. John 6:43. Yahudah therefore answered and said unto them, Murmur not among yourselves. No man come unto me except the Abba which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. No man come to me except the Father in heaven draw him, so that you can be raised up at the last day. Do y'all not understand the power of what this man just said? You cannot come to the Son unless the Father has allowed you to approach unto him, and the purpose of it is for you to attain everlasting life. And it's only the word. I don't care what these niggas say. Ain't no truth music waking nobody up, nigga. That man ain't told you that. That man say by the preaching of the gospel, souls gonna be saved. I don't care about how many songs you rap, sing, clap, or dance. Ain't nobody gonna be saved by that. Boy, they got to get this word. You understand? I told you that a couple weeks ago. I done told brother that, boy, I wasn't sent to be no praise worship leader, man. But I was sent to preach the gospel, man. I don't know nothing about none of that, because I can't save you with no praise and worship. That's to esteem Yahudah. You know what I'm talking about? Praise and worship is to esteem Yahudah. That's for him. That ain't for the people. You know what I'm talking about? And he's worthy of every bit of praise and worship that can be given unto him by whomever shall give it. Let that be understood and known, because we ain't speaking down on nobody who do it. Blessed be those brothers that he gave them that gift for them. That's what they do. But that's not what I do. You know what I'm talking about? Because you got to remember, praise and worship, that's for Yahudah. That ain't for the people. For the gospel, the preaching of the gospel is for the people. That's for the saving of the people. That's what I do. I don't do all that. I don't do none of that. That's not what I do. I stay in my lane. That's not my office. That's not my lane. That's not my course in the priesthood, if you will. I stick to what it is that I do. I commend the brothers who do. See, I was listening to a brother talk the other day, man, and I found it hilarious. But then I praise you, who are not hilarious as in what he was saying was funny. But it was funny because what he was saying was accurate. Now, of course, y'all know, and it was sprained by something that I mentioned, because I think Trina said something about it when we took a deep dive, if you would, through the entirety of the book of Proverbs. And I say, you know what? And of course, when we were doing that, I'm like, well, you know, this man's whole testimony is in the book of Psalms also. But the brother was discussing that most people don't go through the book of Psalms because it's long. 150 books. Psalms 119 got 176 verses in it. What I found it hilarious, because look, that we've been in Psalms for a long time already, doing the very thing that he said that most won't do. All for us to gain more understanding on the offering and sacrifice and love of the Son of Elohim, that we might be drawn to the Father, that we might have life. And that's a blessing. You understand? This stuff that we doing this so you can have life, not for, well, we know more than them boys over there. Them boys they ain't learning this and learning that. Nigga, that's gay. You know what I'm talking about? That's not what it's about. This ain't no competition. The only race we running is to obtain a crown, and you better run so you may obtain. That's all we out here for. You running a race to obtain a crown. That's the only competition you in. You in competition with the flesh, to defeated by the Ruach. We ain't in no competition with no man, much less no congregation or no another preacher. That is insane, nigga. That's gay. Outright, unadulterated gay. It ain't cool. It's lame. It's all outdoors. What good is it to be in competition with man and lose your soul and perish, but you beat them out? Nigga, that's retarded. It's utterly retarded. It makes no sense. You know what I'm talking about? John chapter 6, man, 63, man. Same chapter, just verse 63. It's the Ruach that quicken. The flesh profit nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. For there are some of you that believe not. Yahudah knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who should betray them. And he said, therefore said I unto you that no man can come unto me except it were given unto him of my Abba. Now sit there and pause and think about that for a moment. Also, the Yahudah also told you that all the Father gives me shall come to me, and him that come to me I will in no wise cast out. Now just sit there and think about that. And he also told you that he come down from heaven not to do his own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is Abba's will, which sent me, that all which he's given me, I should lose nothing, but shall raise it up again at the last day. Now just sit there and think about that. Let that pause in your brain. Now I'm going to read you Psalm 65 and 4 to exacerbate what we just seen here in John chapter 6. And I just want y'all to let those things stew in your mind for a moment. Blessed is the man whom you choose and cause to approach unto you, that he may dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, even your Kadash temple. Now just let that sit there and marinate that in your brain. For most of you, however you came in this space, I don't even know. But you ain't coming to this space because of me. The only person that could be said outside of just unadulterated word withdrawn is going to be Lil Muffin, because that's my flesh and blood. Because Mom Dukes didn't jump down off the top. I mean, Muffin didn't jump down off the top. She jumped down before Mom Dukes, but these my flesh and blood. You know what I'm talking about? So, of course, it's going to be a little, okay, let me see what he got going on with that. But at the end of the day, you didn't get drawn because that's my son and that's my brother. You got drew because the word of Yahudah drew you. Now, what you do when you get drawn, that's on you. You know what I'm talking about? But see, this is tough. Let me go ahead and just say this like this. Some people don't get drawn. When I'm talking about drawn, as forth as coming, staying, growing, expanding, as forth as understanding, wisdom, and knowledge is concerned, to everlasting life, most people sit around because of their peers, because of their spouse. You know what I'm saying? Because like what he said in Luke 14, you began to build and you don't want to be mocked, saying this man began to build and didn't finish. That's why some people get fooled. Oh, you think because somebody showed up for a Sabbath or two, but they were really locked in. Because some people didn't get drawn by the Father. See, you think attendance means drawing. You got drew to the space by Elohim. Now, whether you got drew for the word or drew for some other reason, Yahudah knows. Do you know what I'm talking about? But for those of you who he drew because of the word, because you heard the word, oh, that man did that so you could be saved. That man say, blessed is the man whom you choose and cause to approach. Because he got to cause you to approach. I can't cause you to approach the Elohim. I can't bring you forth to Elohim and say, here you go. I can't do that. He got to do that. And if he does that, that's for you to be saved. That's not just for something just to be done. And we don't understand that because we caught up with a multitude of other things, and you forgetting the root of the matter. That man called you so you could approach unto him. What you think that had to do with Moses? He called Moses and said that he called Moses to approach unto him at the burning bush. Moses didn't look up and say, who is Yahudah? Let me find him. Yahudah calls him to approach. That's how that works, man. He got to draw you. You ain't coming no other way. You wondering, right? They said, man, I just told somebody that I told y'all this before, man. You wonder why people show up and dip. Boy, it wasn't never in them. They didn't get drawn because of Yahudah. They got drew for other reasons. And then Yahudah show forth, they're not here for me. I don't fool with them. I didn't cause them to approach. I don't know that, Nick. You sitting back looking at, I thought it was this and I thought it was that. People lackadaisical with this thing, man. This thing dead serious because they don't really understand the love, man, because ain't nobody love you before. That's why you can't understand the love of Elohim when it's shown, because ain't nobody love you before and you're scared of it. You're scared of it. Your mama ain't love you. Your daddy ain't love you. Your friends ain't love you. Your siblings ain't love you. Your husband ain't love you. Your wife ain't love you. Your kids don't love you. You don't understand. You see the love of Elohim, it scare you because you don't understand what pure love is. So you want to run from it. Sad state of affairs. If anybody that never showed you any man of love, I'm talking about real love, man. I'm talking about loyal, sacrificial love. When you see the love of Yahudah, you recognize it when you see it and you cleave to it. You ain't going nowhere from that. That's why Peter said, where we going to go? You got the words of eternal life. Where we going to go? Where am I going to get a love like this at? I ain't going nowhere. Is you crazy? Is you crazy? I ain't going nowhere, man. Ain't nobody going to love me like this. These niggas out here trying to get love with some chakras. Nigga, you damn fool. Ain't no wheels of light in you, boy. Well, you flesh and blood, man. You ain't got no wheels of light going up your spine, you dummy. You done listen to a dead nigga. The niggas who wrote that dead and gone. Waiting to get waking up to burn in hell and you following behind that stupidity. You know what I'm talking about? Ball don't love you, nigga. I call you a nigga because you're stupid. You think somebody love you who don't love you. Hoping that they gonna love you because you're scared of the love of Yahudah, because the love of Yahudah come with directives. And all that comes with directives is to walk in righteousness. And you don't want to walk in righteousness. You want to be free. You want to indulge in lust. You want to indulge in desire. You want to indulge in worldliness. That's why I say if you love the world, the love of the Father can't be in you. Because you don't understand what that means. The love of Elohim is to get to die to self and to live for others. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We're too selfish. We don't want to do that. See, most people, man, they walk around here. That's why people who, see, you can really tell. I'm talking about people who serve Yahudah, man. I really want you to understand what I'm telling you, right? Really want you to understand this here, right? Most people cannot cleave to Yahudah loving them. That's why they seek to man to love them, because they broke. You know what I'm talking about? See, if you really have been broken spiritually, like this man say, a broken ruach he would not despise. No matter what's going on in life, you wouldn't be seeking for nobody to love you because you know Yahudah love you. So you wouldn't be when you down and you this, that, there, and the third. I need somebody to love me, to make me feel better. Nigga, you got Yahushua. What more you need? What more you need? Because ain't none of these people out here laid their life down for you like he did. And you was contrary to him. He did it. And you don't seek love from him. You seeking in love from flesh and blood first. Something wrong with you, boy. You're broken on the inside and you can't trust Elohim. Because that man told you, when my father and mother forsake me, I know Yahudah going to take me up. He ain't say I'm going to walk around here and look for somebody else to love me and be my mama and daddy. But we people who say we trust in Yahudah, every time you get your head cracked and you go to feeling down, you seeking refuge in the hands of a man instead of the refuge of Elohim. Don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. We ain't talking about getting support. I'm talking about refuge, nigga. I'm talking about refuge. How you say you love Yahudah and you seeking refuge in the hands of a man? You supposed to be seeking refuge in the hands of Yahudah. Yahudah direct you with your brothers to give you strength. Of course, your brothers gonna give you strength because the love of Elohim in them. Because that's how they gonna know that we his disciples. See, we do stuff backwards. And if you a man and you seeking love from a woman first, you's a beta male sent mangina and a pure light buster. Hey, you talking about, let me find me a woman to love me. I'm gonna find Yahudah to love me. I don't need no woman to love me, nigga. I'm a whole man out here, man. I done gave my strength to a woman the minute I open my mouth and say I'm looking for a woman to love me, and I say I'm a servant of Yahudah. I'm looking for Yahudah to love me. I don't need no woman to love me before Yahudah do. Can't no woman strengthen me and do nothing for me before Yahudah do. I ain't looking for that. I'm a man first. That don't denote your wife. That doesn't minimalize her. But you best believe she don't want to follow no nigga who looking for love from her before he look for it from Yahudah. She ain't gonna tell you that to your face. She'll say it in her heart, though, and she'll show it to you in her actions. As a man, that shouldn't even be the first thought come across your mind. I need refuge in my wife. That man ain't never told you to seek no refuge in no woman. That man told you to seek refuge in him. What I look like? Going to my woman before I go to Yahudah. Going to her for strength before I go to Yahudah. Boy, I'm going to Yahudah. That woman ain't got nothing that she can give me that's going to equal to what Yahudah got to give. She ain't got it because she looking for me to get at her from Yahudah. So how am I going to get it from her? I can't get it from her. I got to take it to the source. I got to go to the plug. I got to get it from him. Because she need me to have it so I can get it to her. So we can get it to the kids. No matter what we dealing with in life, well, we got to gird up our loins like a man. Because, boy, that woman need me. She need me more than I need her. Sometimes we have to make sure that we keep that at the forefront of our mind. She need me more than I need her. She need everything I got to give her. She need every bit of leadership, every bit of guidance, every bit of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, comfort, care, and love that I got to give. She need me way more than I need her. That's not to delineate no woman. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Because you know why that's just what it is? Because we need Yahudah way more than he need us. And we his wife. That's why it's like that. That's why I can tell it to you like that. I'm not telling you to hear like that as forth as no red pill, male chauvinist type of junk, man. We have to mirror heaven, man. I need Yahudah way more than he need me. Well, I've understood that for many a season, long season, 12 years to be exact. Shoot, 12 and a half, truth be told. I need him way more than he need me. Well, I need this man for every essence of my life, every breath that I breathe. Every thought, every move, I need that man way more than he need me. It's highly important that I rely on him because he can't rely on me, not in the fashion that I got to rely on him. You know what I'm talking about? You have to know that and understand that. But when you know and understand that, that means because you done took that word and let it go down and be sweetness in your bowels. You know what I'm talking about? It don't make you no weak man to stand for Yahudah and trust in him wholly and completely. Make you stronger than any man you ever come across. Make you stronger than any man you ever come across. Don't make you no weak man to be wholeheartedly sold out and then be submissive to your husband. Because ain't nobody gonna love us like Yahudah do. That's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. You can't be scared of love, man. That's what too many people problem. I ain't talking about that emotional junk, man. You can't be scared of love, man. Love ain't nothing to be scared of. Love ain't nothing to be scared of. And too many people, they scared of love. That's why they won't come to Yahudah. His love scam. That love scam because now you got the love back. And most people too lazy to show love. Most people just entirely too lazy. You don't want to do what's necessary to reciprocate the love back because you're sorry. You're sorry. You don't want to do nothing, but you want everything. How that work? How does that work? That you don't want to do nothing, but you want everything. I'm gonna start right here, man. Cause we got hallelujah for Yahushua. Praise be to Elohim in the name of Yahushua. You know what I'm talking about? You know, we gonna probably Yahudah willing, man. Y'all know we got an immersion tomorrow. Yahudah permitted. So it won't be that closer to 3 o'clock start time. Yahudah willing, it'll be closer to 2:15, somewhere in that range. Because we're gonna have to beat the sun. You know what I'm talking about? And get a little dark a little earlier these days. You know what I'm saying? But just weigh and consider, man. He calls you to draw. He causes you to come unto him for you to get life. If the word is resonating. That man drew you. Remember, we talked about this before. It's in Jeremiah. He said, I draw you with love and kindness. That man drew you with love. That man drawing you with love. You know what I'm talking about? I done told you this many times before, man. Now that I sit back and I'm talking about it, man, and then the flashbacks come to my brain of many days. Yahudah knows I still wish I had that Bible. I took my mama's Bible at that time. Big old family Bible. Just steady going through that book daily, every single solitary day. You know what I'm talking about? And understanding, reading the passage, he allowed me to understand what it means. Not in the concept of no testimony per se, but understanding of who he is and why this is being done. Not sitting back looking at why he want to love me. I just came out of prison. I used to say this and say that, and it didn't even matter. Praise Yahudah, man. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even matter why. But that's because my granddaddy loved me, man. My mama loved me, man. My auntie loved me, man. My daddy even was saying that man ain't never did nothing wrong to me, man. That man showed me love every time I was in his presence. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just talking about direct family, man. That's why that junk bothered me sometimes. That my boy didn't feel like nobody loved him. You know what I'm saying? Let him to do that, because that's tough. That's tough. You know what I'm saying? We were talking to one of the dudes that worked with me, man. Son had did something. He like, boy, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna beat him. I'm like, man, don't go off on that boy, man. Don't even do it. I say, man, little boys get all the discipline in the world, man. Sometimes they just need somebody to love and pay attention to them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to check them. You know what I'm talking about? But boy, sometimes, boy, that boy just needs somebody to hold him, hug him, kiss him, let him know somebody care about him. Come tell you, that's what my granddad and my daddy did regularly. That's why I do it with the children to this day. That's where it came from. You know what I'm saying? That just wasn't some natural, I'm just like that. That's what was done to me and done to me by men. Not my mom and my auntie. My granddaddy and daddy did that every time I was in their presence. So when a man knows, when a young boy knows that a man loves him, cares about his well-being, that can allow him to receive the love of Elohim Yahudah willing when it manifests itself, because you would know what it is for a man to love you. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of young ladies, your daddy wasn't there. Your daddy didn't love you, man. So when you see this love that comes from this man right here, you scared of that. Because you got in your mind that love is something else. You want to feel butterflies and tingles and all this other type of nonsense. I say nonsense because it's nonsensical. Does it make sense? When you go to talking about what love is, so therefore you can't approach and get that love when he offering it to you. That's why I be telling you the stuff with the churn, because you want them to approach under you to get the love that you got to give and not to flee from you because they don't want what you got to give. Yahudah don't want you to flee from him. He wants you to come unto him because he wants you to have that love. That's why he say he so loved the world that he gave his son that you wouldn't perish, but you had everlasting life. But we don't want the love because you're scared of it. Now, of course, a child is different, but the older you get, you know, when you sit back and you look at it and that love being offered, something's going to be required of you. And like I mentioned just a moment ago, we lazy. You don't want to do nothing, but you want everything. And you think you're not selfish when that is the epitome of selfishness. How do you want everything but not willing to do anything to get it because you feel like you should get it because you exist? You're not entitled to anything. You only deserve what you earn. You earn with Yahudah by trusting in him, by approaching unto him when he causes you to approach, when he is extending the right hand of fellowship, as it says, for you to come unto him. How you going to turn down a hand of life that's extended unto you? Makes no sense. But we do it every single solitary day. And most people do it because you feel, now some people feel like they ain't worthy of love, and some people just despise love because ain't no love in them. See, that's a whole nother matter. Some people ain't got no love in them. Some people are devoid of it. It's not there. It don't exist. And that's a hard pill for people to swallow. Some people ain't got love in them. And it ain't matter what you say or what you do, it ain't going to be there. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like some men ain't got no masculinity in them. Some women ain't got no femininity in them. Like this here, like your disposition is off. You don't have a sweet disposition. You're not inviting. A lot of women wonder why he don't want to talk to me and do this, that, there. It's you, nigga. Your whole aura is not something that a man inclines to want to be around and talk to. Because I can guarantee you, if you have an inviting, sweet disposition, he'll be more inclined to be around you and talk to you. Most women, you talk too much. You want to be heard. You want to interject with this, that, there, and the third. You know what I'm talking about? Your face be balled up. You're looking this, that, there, and the third. Nobody want to talk to you. Nobody want to be around you. You know what I'm talking about? This is what it is. You can unless a nigga is just a simp, you can always tell if a man has a woman who has a sweet, inviting disposition and personality. He delights to be with her and do things with her and come home to her and actually engage with her. That means that she has a demeanor that he delights in. It's not off-putting. So he doesn't mind. He actually looks forward to it. You can tell when a woman has a man who has a dominating presence because she hearkens unto his voice. I just telling somebody that, like, men have to be taught how to dominate. We're not talking about dominators being a despot. But he has to know how to dominate, rule, and control his domain and do it in a non-emotional fashion. He has to learn how to do that. A woman can't teach him how to do that. A man can't teach a woman to have a sweet and inviting disposition. That's like a half and half thing. You know what I'm saying? You could get it from your mama, or it's just natural to you. Now, we're talking about it today. Some of you young ladies, you lost that from whatever reason is for the course of your childhood. Please don't let your daughters lose it. Don't let your daughters lose that disposition, that kindness, that bubbliness, that smiling, that happiness. That's how a woman is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? That's coming from the world being ugly and cold and jaded. We can't let that happen to them babies, man. You can let them know what time it is, but you don't want the world to destroy the essence of who they're supposed to be. I understand it happens. I done seen it. Clearly. You know what I'm saying? My boy jumped off a doggone bridge, man. You know what I'm talking about? The coldness of the world destroyed him. You know what I'm talking about? That's unserious, man. That's unserious, man. It's serious out here, man. You gotta acknowledge that, man. We can't be walking around here like it's sweet, like stuff don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because it matter. You know what I'm saying? Like most of your children probably dozing if they ain't already asleep. But you just look at them and look at their personalities and how they act. Yeah, some of them be stubborn, but they churn. You know what I'm saying? That's what children do, man. You know what I'm talking about? You just instruct that up out of them. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing for certain, you can't beat stubbornness up out of a child. You got to instruct it up out of them. You know what I'm saying? By parameters and order and discipline and things of that sort. But just look at them children. Look at how they interact. I can tell you right now, none of these children, boy or girl, have a sour disposition. None of them. None of them. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a sour disposition. They may have their ways. None of these children have a sour disposition. I can say none of the girls definitely don't have a sour disposition. Like just dour, like, what's wrong with that little girl? Why is she so mean and angry? They don't have any of that. They don't have any of that. They all have sweet dispositions, kind and inviting. Now, I'm saying that for the young women. You need to look at yourself, and if you don't see yourself that way, where did you lose it at? Can you identify where you lost that at and what caused you to lose it? You know what I'm talking about? When you look at the young boys, you know what I'm saying? They got, you know what I'm talking about? They boys. So, you know, they you know, it's testosterone coming in and up out of them from time to time. You know what I'm saying? It ain't flooding in them, but you know what I'm saying? It's sending out. So it's things that you have to instruct them, but you have to look at them. Them boys ain't got no disposition, or what they sitting back looking at the world has broken them and they just got a sour view on life and woe is me and this, that, there, and the third. You don't want them to lose that. And if you lost that in yourself as a young man, you need to look at yourself as when and where did you lose that? It's forth as the optimism and hope that a man's supposed to have in order to say that I can be able to take and dominate my domain and whatever it is that I seek to dominate and rule over. Because you don't want to foster an environment where a boy loses his passion and desire to rule over his domain. You know what I'm talking about? Because little boys, they roughhouse, man. It gives them an opportunity to understand how far physically to go and how far not physically to go. You know what I'm saying? And it also causes them to have camaraderie with other men, to where they understand at an early age how to have care and love for their brother. You know what I'm saying? To look at him as a brother in arms, that I can roll with him. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's all that stuff that come into it, man. And you know what I'm talking about? Because you didn't get the love and support and direction. A lot of you looking to love is you want somebody to hug you, this, that, and the third. But most of the time, you didn't get the attention, direction, and correction that you needed. And that's why you're upset. That's why you're angry in life. You know what I'm saying? You have to find that out. If you see your son got an angry streak of this, that, and the third, boy, you want to talk to him, identify that son, what you're angry about. Because you want that to come up out of him. You don't want him to grow up and be no angry man. You don't want to see a boy go from being an angry boy to an angry young man to an angry man. You want to identify, son, what you're angry about. Because that ain't the way to live. That ain't the way you got to be, son. It's damaging to his psyche. You won't see it till 20 years later. How damaging that was, that he was angry and we couldn't identify why he was angry, so that anger could be removed. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you have to look at all that there, man. If you look at yourself and say you get angry, you got to identify, why am I angry? What caused the anger to come? Because most of us, you grew up, you were a tender boy. Then you end up becoming a cold young man. You know what I'm saying? You would have to ask yourself, how did that happen? Where did that happen? I don't want that to happen to my boy. I want him to be masculine and be a man, but I don't want him to be around here where he cold-hearted. So that's why you got these young niggas out here killing. They cold-hearted. Ain't no love in their heart. You can still be a man and have love in your heart. We know that because Yahudah did it. Having love in your heart ain't going to make you less of a man. We got to look at all that, man, because all this stuff pertains to Yahudah. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of children, man. Beautiful children, man. Ain't none of these children evil. Like I said, at the most, they just hard-headed. Most of them do what children do. What they want. When they don't get what they want, they like an act of fool. Oh, you got instructed up out of them. You know what I'm saying? Most children are stubborn. Most of y'all probably was stubborn when you was a child. I know that I was. You know what I'm talking about? But I say, man, our boys get enough doggone busting upside the head and yelling at. Sometimes you just need to talk to them. Sometimes you just need to give him a little bit of love, man. Remember, Yahudah tell you that. Yeah, he instruct those, he disciplined, chasten those whom he loved. But sometimes the people, he ain't bust them upside the head, man. He gave them a word. And that word resonated in their mind, and they did what they needed to do. That's where your wisdom and understanding come in at. Because remember, more importantly, your wisdom, that's to know what to do and what not to do. Sometimes you got to give him a little chastening. Sometimes you got to give him a little compassion. And you're supposed to be wise enough to know when to do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be wise enough to know when to do that, because he's supposed to be taking your mantle. We just seen that. The same way that Elisha picked up Elijah's mantle, put on that cloak, put on that garment, that man got to walk in your shoes one day. He got to put on your clothes. You know what I'm talking about? You want him to walk in it the same way you walked in. You want him to have, as I said, listen, man, get a double portion of your spirit, man. You want him to have your breath, your mind, your heart, the same way that Elohim did, because you resembling the king. I meant to read Galatians 4 and I didn't do it. My apologies. But of course, he said, these are the mother of my brethren. Of course, Jerusalem is the mother of us all. And you know that Yahudah was birthed in Jerusalem the second time, born of the earth, or the Adamah, if you will, to become the son of Elohim. And that's why we are the brothers of his mother. Because when you get immersed and you came up out of that water, it was as if you were born in Jerusalem, or the mother of us all, or Eve, if you would. If you would. Therefore, we resemble one another as being in the resemblance of Elohim, being conformed to his image. That's why he ain't ashamed to call you a brother, because we all are the same household. The same way that Gideon wasn't ashamed to call any of those men who were slain at Tabor's brothers. Why would he be? They were all sanctified together. But hallelujah for Yahushua, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Yahudah willing, man. We pick it up on tomorrow, man. Somewhere probably about 2:15. Yahudah willing, probably be more accurate for the roll time. And Yahudah willing, till that time.